everyone obviously knows, if they've joined now, the purpose of this webinar, and we'll be discussing how you can grow your business by working harder or smarter, not harder. If you're familiar with the Tilt Origin series, this is our fourth one. So hopefully you've got a bit of use out of them, and that's why you've come back again. But if you haven't been to any of the previous episodes, I'm Connor, the business development executive here at Tilt, and for the purpose of this, we'll be talking about our Origin software. Now, Tilt was started around 14 years ago, and one of the first movers into the PropTech industry, and our Origin system was really that, the first software that we came up to cater to the needs of the letting agents and the property managers. And then alongside us, we have Andrew Jack there. He was late to the party, but Andrew is the UK and Ireland distributor of Inspect Real Estate, and then with Colin there as well, who's a partner with VaVaVoom. So like I said, the purpose of this will be discussing how agents can improve efficiencies within their business, and ultimately increase profits as a result of that. So if we can crack on and get Andrew talking, we can see how he got into VaVaVoom Inspect Real Estate, and give yourself a bit of an introduction.
Thanks, Connor. Morning, everybody. As Connor says, I've become a distributor for Inspect Real Estate software here in the UK and Ireland. Inspect Real Estate has been in existence, an Australian business, has been in existence for over 10 years, producing market-leading software specifically for the estate agent and letting agent market. And the reason I got involved with them, I'm also in the lettings business. I'm part of the Belvoir network, have been since 2003 in Belfast, and more recently since 2014 in Edinburgh. And particularly in the Edinburgh business, we had a number of challenges as we tried to bring our own stamp onto that business. It was an acquisition of our business that was very traditionally run, and we were trying to bring it into the 21st century. So we had a number of challenges, one of which, or the primary challenge, was around tenant inquiries, leads coming from the portals and off our own website. I knew we were having a challenge just through sheer volume and being able to get back to people quickly and efficiently, and I knew we were having a struggle with that. So I was looking for a solution and came up with Inspect Real Estate, which has a very neat piece of software which handles the responses on our behalf to all those tenant inquiries coming off the portals on our own website, and ultimately allows the tenants to book viewings directly into our schedule. So the impact it had on our business was unbelievable in terms of the time it saved us, and just the ability to get back to everybody quickly. It improved, probably improved morale in the office was the first thing it did, because obviously you're not coming in on a Monday morning having to deal with these hundreds of invoices or emails in your inbox. So that was the first thing. But secondly, just from a consumer experience, from the customer experience, was far better, because they were getting responded to and they were able to self-serve and get their appointments into the diary at the time they were searching. So the proposition from us was far better. So as a result of the impact it had on our business, both in Edinburgh and then more recently in Belfast, I then got involved with Inspect Real Estate, because I knew it had something to offer the industry as a whole, and it's something that I wanted to bring to the industry and help, because the challenges are the same across the board for a lot of agents. So I wanted to be able to help agents improve their business.
Makes sense, yeah. No, it's very interesting. So in keeping with our title, it's easy to meander with these things. With today's letting agent, what would you think is the main sort of drags on efficiency? What hinders today's letting agent the most, and sort of how, what can they do to focus on that and ultimately improve that?
Well, I think there's loads of things. I think typically as an industry we've been quite traditional in the way we've operated, and obviously in recent years There's been this boom in PropTech. So there's lots of tools and solutions out there to help us, and hopefully some of those will raise some questions today, and some of the guys that are on the webinar here to offer some of the services that we can provide that can help that. I think some of the key issues I hear when I'm talking to clients is around the kind of inquiry, dealing with inquiries, getting back to people in time, being able to deliver that quality of service. But not only that, processes, and being able to deliver or being able to create processes which allow you then to produce a good service, an efficient service. Poor processes are probably the enemy of efficiency. So by putting some of those processes in place and using software to allow us to do that, makes a massive difference. So specifics around in our business, at the inquiries I've mentioned, booking viewings, there's an awful lot of time wasted booking viewings back and forward with people. Half the time they can't remember they've made the inquiry. Sometimes they did it on a Saturday night when they had their eye on other things, or had there were other priorities, let's say. Also the pre-qualification of tenants, obviously, we spend a lot of time as agents trying to make sure that we're not wasting our time and we're only doing viewings with people who are suitable, will suit the property. So the pre-qual process is really important, and that's something that we spend a lot of time on and can be done much more slickly. Obviously the ongoing, right, from end to end in the lettings process, there's areas that we can make more efficient by the use of technology and software.
Yeah, no, that was interesting. I know from talking to you, you touched sort of briefly on that, the pre-tenancy, and the efficiencies that you found there, and often, like everyone, especially with times at the minute, people can get bogged down in their own processes and focus on themselves, and it's good that way. That's definitely a way that people can drive efficiencies, by looking internally. But sometimes agents can get caught up in that and forget about almost the customer life cycle, and that pre-tenancy. And I know that you talk and you're in quite regular communication with many of the portals, and you find that sometimes the customer journey, or the potential tenant journey, is often forgot about. You've mentioned it there, but have you any more thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is, as an industry, perhaps we have quite focused internally an awful lot of the time. We forget sometimes that ultimately we're in the client relationship business, and we want to deliver a good client experience. And sometimes we're so focused on in the internals of what we do that we forget how that reflects on people out and externally, and how that affects them. Obviously, you've mentioned the portals. Yeah, we've had lots of conversations with portals, and portals are aware that they're the kind of point of contact for a lot of tenants and buyers. That's the first point of contact. And some portals have mentioned to us that, in fact, that some clients, buyers and tenants, see the portal as the point of contact. They don't necessarily, at that point in the journey, don't necessarily see the agent as the point of contact, which is interesting. And similarly, so portals are aware that if agents don't respond or don't get back to tenants quickly enough or buyers quickly enough, then that reflects on them and reflects negatively on them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think anything that we can do as agents to improve that, and with the support of portals, and obviously that's ultimately the way the inspect real estate software works is it takes the lead from the portal and then starts to deal with it as the agent, and it automates that part of the process. So it's making it much slicker, much easier, saving so much time, and giving the consumer, the customer, such a much better experience. Ultimately, our business is about client. We've got to win clients, and then we've got to fulfill, do client fulfillment. So what we're talking about here is the fulfillment of what we're promising the client. So I think that's it's hugely important. If we're going to, in a competitive market, and we're in a massively competitive market, the delivery of that service, anything that sets us apart from the competition, being able to get back to people quickly and effectively, is going to help us to win more business, and ultimately allow us to grow our business, which is what we're primarily what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, and obviously we've had to talk quite a bit in length for preparation in this, but you brought up an interesting point in one of our other meetings, that you can only put a few people or one or two people into a potential tenancy, and you know the amount of people that you almost disappoint is more than you know who you actually please. So if you're driving efficiencies in this, you're minimizing the amount of people that you actually are left unhappy.
I mean, as a business, it's a strange proposition because we tend to let down more people than we make happy. Particularly in busy markets, if you've got multiple applicants or multiple tenants looking to rent one property, you know, if you've got 10 people looking to rent a property, you can only ultimately rent it to one person. So that, by definition, means you've got 90% of your prospects are disappointed. And in any business, that's not a great proposition, really. But the way you handle that process and the way you deal with that throughout the journey for them will leave a lasting impression and will make a difference, because ultimately, if you've done that well and you've done it professionally and efficiently and you've done it in a timely manner, and you've been respectful about it, then ultimately, hopefully, those people will still become advocates for your business. And when you list the next property next week that might suit them, hopefully they'll come back remembering they had a good experience, and they'll be they want to be part of what you have to offer. So I think it's crucially important for us to remember that as agents. It's really all about what the people on the outside think. It's not necessarily what we think.
Yeah, and I suppose if you can get something that almost, you know, I'm sure a lot of agents or people watching this will think, you know, God, I've got enough on my plate, you know, worrying about my own internal processes. How can I start thinking about, you know, a completely different view? But if you have something, you know, that automates that and does that for you, and, you know, ensures that you have that sort of positive brand image, you know, that's just, you know, power to you.
No, exactly. I mean, that's what this is all about. It's really taking away the workload around the kind of repetitive tasks, automating as much of that as possible to give you time as agents to focus on the key parts of your business, which will move you forward and ultimately allow you to spend the time, take the time away from responding to tenant inquiries, as an example, and turning that into to prospect and lifting the phone or doing whatever you do to win some new business. And it's all about time ultimately. That's what we're trying to do, is get more, is claim back our time.
You know, well, we'll keep true to the title here, and you know, head back to efficiencies. But you know, you can get distracted by the amount of software and, you know, the amount of PropTech out there. You know, even coming from, you know, we're both players in the game. But where, you know, is there any specific areas that you help? Not just thinking from, you know, an IRE standpoint, but, you know, a PropTech standpoint in general. Is there areas that you feel that they, as a whole, could help agents? Or
well, I think as you know, there's been a massive growth in PropTech solutions over the last number of years. And I suspect there's probably a piece of PropTech that can fit right along the journey. What we're primarily interested in ourselves is the kind of pre-tenancy bit, the kind of initial contact and the pre-tenancy bit up to the point where somebody says they want to apply for it and you're happy to accept them as an applicant. I mean, you're the expert on the next part of the process, because that's ultimately where we would see the lead would turn into would move into your software, into your product. But the whole journey of onboarding property, how you prospect for business and how you win new business, there's some really good solutions around that, and I would encourage agents who are keen to grow and develop to look at some of the solutions in that, because it really can make a big difference. And then obviously you've got, once you've listed the property, you've got the marketing and bringing in your inquiries and your viewings, and that's what Inspect Real Estate is all about, and we can help with that. And then obviously with yourselves and the CRM solutions, being able to make the property management piece as simple as possible, in terms of maintenance, in terms of your routine inspections. Nobody enjoys doing a routine inspection. I'm sure absolutely nobody enjoys doing them. But there are solutions out there to make it as painless as possible. And all of that, all these tools are designed. They're not designed to become a burden. They're designed to make your life easier. And I know they have conversations with clients that the fear of moving from one system to the next or introducing a new piece of software. That fear is real. But I would encourage you not to let that put you off, because the benefits that you gain from implementing good pieces of software which have been developed over a number of years by industry professionals who know the business inside out, then they will add real value to your business, and ultimately will allow you to achieve what the title of this webinar is. It'll allow you to grow your business by working smarter, not harder. So I would encourage every agent that's not already moving down that track to seriously consider it.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously that kind of leads us into your product, Connor, and you see it from your side as well. Where do you see the kind of where the challenges are and where the benefits are, from your side?
Yeah, no, like you said, it's about this post-tenancy, or not post-tenancy, sorry, the tenancy management, and you sort of move into our areas of expertise. The areas that agents can be focusing on, like we said, are those growth areas, areas of the business that they themselves, the agent, bring value to. Like these systems are, designed to help you. They're not, designed to overtake. They're not really going to be, your source of competitive advantage, but it's going to allow, you, the agent, to not focus your time on these, admin tasks, or, things that slow you down, or just things that you have to do, but let you, focus on your, what sets you apart as an agent, what sets you apart as an agency, and help to sustain and build your competitive advantage by not focusing on these sort of mundane tasks that slow or hinder your growth. And I think that's really what the driving force behind a good easy to use lettings or property management system is. You're not spending time working out how to use it, or you're not spending time bogged down in support. It's about finding a system that works for you, that follows the same logic as you do. That would be the main, like piece of compliment that we get, that our system is logical and it follows, the same series of events as you would expect it to as an agent. And you said that people are resistant to that change, but the change can be minimized if you find something that just works for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think change, obviously this year, the 12 months we've just come through has kind of imposed change on us, perhaps where we weren't looking for change or whatever. But what, in your experience from your clients, what have you seen from your side, and how people have adapted and dealt with that?
Yeah, well, obviously, you said it yourself that we've been thrust into this sort of period of change. And change is daunting for everyone. Not just the agents. I know you said people can get bogged down in the sort of status quo and not look up. But the change has been good. I find it's really made. I know we're talking about people looking externally, but it has been good for people looking internally and identifying areas that aren't working. For them, whether that's using a web-based solution that to facilitate working from home, or just using a system that is easier to use and doesn't require so much communication, because that's obviously something that's been a big change this year. You're not able to have those face-to-faces, and if you're using a system that sort of facilitates maybe something that helps you work without having to have that face-to-face, it really sort of reduces those barriers to change, and has helped agents keep going and keep the head down and focus on growth, even though the world seems like it's on fire around us. But
I think what it has shown us is that you can do it, and it can be done, and when you have to do it, you can do it. I think that's one of the things that's really come out of it. Colin, you're itching to get in there. You've been very quiet so far.
Hi. No, just picking up on that point that Connor made about the last 12 months and change. They often say change is like an elastic band. Once it's stretched, it never goes back to the same shape. I think the last 12 months has completely changed the way we work. This webinar is testament to it. Like, it used to be a case that if you were going to go, you would go to a course, you would go to a room, and somebody would, if you're going to a meeting, we would all be in the same room. Everybody that's on the webinar would be in the same room. But I'm in Oher at the minute. Andrew's in Belfast, and Connor's in Warren Point in Northern Ireland, and the people watching this are from all over the UK and maybe beyond. So we will never go back to where we were, and I suppose this will make the way we work more efficient. It's something, I suppose, for myself and my own journey, I'm the director of Property People State Agency, and we have 3 branches in the north of Ireland here, and we were changing finance systems, and we had to do an audit of all of our client accounts. It was a phenomenal piece of work, severe handling, and it was reconciling, it was checking, it was very, very admin-based work, but it was going back to 2007 to make sure that everything was absolutely right. And it would have been a massive drain on my resources, you know. It would have took up a lot of staff time. It would have cost a lot of money in staff time, and as well as that, it would have made a huge loss of opportunity. So we had to think outside the box. So I had to say, okay, how are we going to continue to do our day-to-day work, but we need to do this very important but admin-heavy task. And so we looked at outsourcing, and we came across VaVaVoom. VaVaVoom is a company that helps you recruit a virtual assistant. A virtual assistant is somebody that works remotely from a different country. In our case, we have virtual assistants from the Philippines. They set it up. You do the interviews, recruit your virtual assistant, but there's also an aftercare of how to work remotely. A lot of people, they've got more of an idea now, but just managing expectations with your virtual assistant, dealing with cultural differences, all that sort of thing. And there's an aftercare that makes sure that both you and the virtual assistant are working in your flow. And that's the solution we had. At the time, VaVaVoom was working with mostly entrepreneurs, property entrepreneurs, and we got it into our state agency's business. And much like Andrea, it was like, whoa, this is a game changer, you know, because getting back to the topic of, you know, making your letting agency more efficient, we were able to say, okay, well, we can outsource that. It's cost effective. It's got good quality people, and we can now get on with our business, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And what sort of tasks, Colin, have you got your guys, your virtual assistants? What are they working on for you now?
At the minute, we actually went from 1 to like 4 virtual assistants, you know. And the way the company works is it has horses for courses, if you know what I mean. So we have guys that are particularly skilled in admin, and in our letting agency, what way we're working now is we're kind of doing a handoff between Belfast, Philippines. So obviously the viewings happen in Belfast, you know. The applicant will apply online. That application will be picked up by a virtual assistant who will then make sure that supporting documentation, that the application is filled in correctly, and will email back the completed applications to Belfast, who will then chat to the landlord. Once the tenant's been selected and approved, back to the Philippines, they will email the tenant that they've been successful, send out the tenancy application using software, send out the tenancy application, send out the guarantors agreements, do all that sort of stuff, and then set up the collection of the deposit, first month's rent. And literally all the tenant has to do, well, obviously in the meantime, Belfast will do the inspection, the pre-move-in inspection, and then the tenant just comes and picks up the keys. It takes a huge chunk of the, you know, the actual letting of the property away from the office. And the result of that being, the same as IRE, the same as Tilt, is that it allows you time back. And what do you do with that time? Well, I suppose it's like if you had the time, what would you do in your business? You would give your business that helicopter view. You would look down on it and you would say, okay, this is what makes me money. This is the good stuff. I have a team here. Like it's not essentially about replacing your team in the office. It's about making your team work on money generating tasks, work on, as you said, contacting your customers, maintaining that relationship. You know, all too often we get bogged down with work where we're doing the admin, we're doing the data input, we're doing all the rest of it. And as a result, the client relationship deteriorates. So to pick up the phone and say, by the way, here's some good news. We went out and we did an inspection and your property's in great condition, your tenant's very happy. There's been no arrears in your rent and everything's going fine. You know?
Yeah.
How often do we as a business only pick up the phone to our customers to tell them the bad news? You know, and I suppose the result of that is your landlord, your customer gets a phone call and is like, oh, what are these in want? You know, so by outsourcing, you know, the tasks that can be outsourced, that allows your team to focus on the good stuff.
Yeah.
So money generating tasks, building the client relationship, ultimately make your business leaner, stronger, more profitable, and with a competitive edge. You know.
Yeah. This I suppose, you know, we're all sort of virtual assistants in a way now. You know, this has really been, you know, we're all working. We may as well be working in the Philippines now, you know, with everyone working from home. So I think this, you know, if any good, I suppose some people are to benefit off this, but VaVaVoom, you know, it's really sort of shown that, you know, perhaps those barriers, you know, to taking on a system like this or taking on a service like this, you know, the negative sort of attitudes towards it are ill-founded. You know, that, you know, everyone works virtually, so why not, you know, have someone else do this? And I think you really touched on, you know, there's a lot of similarities, even though, you know, there's one software and one's a service, that, you know, the aim with any of these systems that you take on should be to take out, you know, those mundane tasks and, you know, let the agents focus on, like you said, you know, your sources of, you know, competition or your sources of advantage, and, you know, allow you to, you know, focus on your value adding behaviors. I would say that you know, putting on your agent hat, that you're not out competing any of your, you know, competition by, you know, how well you do admin work. It's about how well that you maintain and, you know, build those relationships. And it's about finding the systems to facilitate you to do that. And, you know, not everyone, it won't work for everyone, but it's, you know, to consider these systems or consider these services and, you know, look how it would fit your business. And, you know, sometimes it won't fit, but if you find something that works well for you, it can become, you know, a source of advantage because it allows you to focus more on, you know, these value adding tasks.
I think that's a point, really. It's not just about estate and letting agency business, it's business in general. Every business owner should systemize the processes, you know, systemize, then use technology to automate where they can, outsource what they can, because, you know, at the end of the day, we can't all do everything. And more to the point, we can't all do everything well, you know. So I'm personally not a numbers man, you know, that's not my strong feat. So I can get somebody else to do it, you know, and or, you know, if I need to free up my time, like it's almost remiss of business owners to allow their key players, their A-team staff, to be bogged down in admin, to be coming in on a Monday morning to 300 emails, you know, looking for an appointment when there is a perfectly good solution for that, you know, where you can have somebody tying up the application process, you know, and the very important part of that is using cloud-based software like Tilt. You know, it's the utilization of all of these things that we're talking about that gives you the competitive edge. It's a competitive industry. There's plenty of people out there doing it, and I suppose using outsourcing and using PropTech will essentially divide the wheat from the chaff in businesses that are going to go forward. I think it's more a case of, if you don't, then essentially not only will you not make the most of your core staff, free up your time, allow you to systemize, automate, and grow your business effectively, but you'll be left behind.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think being resistant to change has ever been viewed as, like a positive in business. It's
definitely not positive, but there's a lot of it out there. There definitely is. The status quo seems to rule for a lot of people, but it really that's a dangerous territory in my head. I'm just interested to know, Colin. Now you've got this extra resource and you now know what's possible. Have you changed your goals and ambitions for your business? Do you think you can achieve more than you thought you could before?
Yeah, without a doubt. One of the things that we have been able to do is we have been able to look at other avenues. Again, sort of focusing in on the agency customer relationship. So if you're saying, okay, we let and manage a customer's property, what other services can we provide? And sort of coming up with the idea of, can we become a one-stop? So if you can you look at landlord's insurance? Can you look at remortgaging? Can you look at? We've also had a discussion around possibly can we do the end of year accounts and just have a completely seamless service? So and the more problems that you can solve for your customers, the more value you are to them, and a greater, you have that competitive edge by saying, we're happy that we're doing a good job managing your property, but we can also do a good job looking after other aspects of your business, and I feel that that's invaluable, But before you can do that, you have to be chatting, you have to be on the phone, you have to be having those good news calls. You just can't be the guy who's always phoning up saying about repairs, or saying about a tenant that's not paying rent, or saying about this, that and the other. Oh, and by the way, would you like to buy some insurance of us? It's just not gonna cut it, So it gives you the ability to essentially work on the business and not in the business. It frees up your staff time to be working on, as well as that, the things that they enjoy going to. Let's face it, as you rightly pointed out, nobody likes to come in on a Monday morning and be sat with a tsunami of admin, people to get back to, things to do. It's the way forward.
Yeah, I have to say we've recently taken on a VaVaVoom virtual assistant in Belfast, and the process itself was extremely good. I think the way you guys handle it is very professional, very slick. You have a couple of options in terms of prospective VAs, and the experience we've had with her so far has been fantastic. She's there, she's efficient, she's willing and able and very quick to get stuff done. So it's been a very, very positive experience for us, and something that with the support of VaVaVoom, make something that might have been a big chore or a big task to go out and actually find a VA. If that's what you wanted to do, then it would have been very difficult without the support of VaVaVoom.
I think funny, we thought about VAs for about a year or 18 months before we actually got one. We just found it very daunting, getting your head around the concept of working remotely. And when we found this company, and what we liked about it so much is they just create that bridge, and they've got that support, and they give as much support to the VA as they do the customer, because at the end of the day, there are cultural differences. There are questions, there are things that just need to be sorted out. And just for the initial period, you might need just that little bit of hand-holding. And it's good to have that third person, that intermediary, just to make a smooth transition. Because you just don't know sometimes what way you get picked up, you know. And so somebody say, no, everything's 100%, and it makes the whole process a lot smoother. And I suppose that's what drew us to the company, and that's why we're a part of it now, you know. Very, very happy to be on board. But yeah, the main thing that strikes me is, as I say, it was VaVaVoom was working mostly with property entrepreneurs, but as you can now see yourself, the application in the property industry for estate and letting agencies, it's just unreal, and in my eyes is a real game changer, you know.
No, absolutely, yeah. And I never thought I'd be able to say, but Colin, you've inspired us. Yeah, you've been an inspiration to us to go out and into the world of virtual assistants. So.
Oh yeah, anytime. And likewise, I suppose now we've took on Inspect Real Estate, and I think, you know, this summer when we get it going for the student rentals, it's going to be a real game changer. You know, the amount of phone inquiries we get is unbelievable, and to just have that completely circumvented and taken out of the business, it's easily going to free up 3 to 4 staff for 3 to 4 months. You know,
yeah,
and it's a huge example of how automation. And that will be a real time saving. You know, you can automatically say, right, well, in the summer months when we have, say, 200 student properties to rent, 5-bed properties, and that's going to maybe take, you know, multiply that up into the amount of inquiries.
Yeah.
The phones are just constant, and it's booking in viewings, and it's not just taking the call, it's then trying to find a slot that fits, you know, whereas the natural and easy solution is say, you should book yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
You do it. You know?
That's it.
And so it just takes a huge burden off the office. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, when it comes to booking online, people are used to doing that. They can do it for literally every other service, every other walk of life. They can book something.
Pizza.
They now book their slot to go and collect their pizza. Yeah, absolutely. That's how it works.
Yeah.
But anyway, Connor, save Colin and I from this loving and tell us. You.
I didn't want to interrupt. I thought, you know, you guys are having so much fun.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, no, like you've touched on everything there. I think, you know, the main focus of this, without, you know, sounding too repetitive, is, you know, letting agents, you know, empower themselves to focus on, you know, their own behaviors that drive this growth. You know, if Colin, you came out with something in one of our other meetings that you were operating the most expensive call center in Belfast at one point, and you know, it's about taking, you know, all that admin work out of the question, or, you know, taking all that time. If you're saying that you're freeing up staff for you know, 3 or 4 days, you know, even from, if you're paying wages, even, you know, you don't want to focus on the numbers, but if you're paying the wages and that, you're saving money there. You know, if they're not spending that time, that's just wasted time in a sense. It has to be done, but it's not. It's wasted time when viewing it through, you know, a lens of growth or profits. And that's just
one of the things we suggest to clients when they're thinking about taking on services of software is to tally up, just to keep a track of the amount of time they're actually spending on admin, and they'll be shocked. At the end of a week, they'll be absolutely amazed at how much time they've spent responding to emails, booking people on the viewings, you know, just kind of general stuff. If they actually tally that up, I think most office business owners and office managers would be quite taken aback by what's actually the time it's taken doing that.
Yeah, well, I think we've talked for long enough. I don't know about you, but if we can welcome some questions from everyone. Hopefully, if someone, you know, we have our emails up there. I think, Colin, you have. Are we present for everyone? Do you? Are we ebook?
Yeah. don't have I suppose if you just follow the link, Connor, can you pop the link up there? Oh. Hello. Oh.
Yep. Let's see.
If you pop the link up there, Connor, that is a wee downloadable ebook, and it will cover a lot of the stuff that we've chatted about today, about, you know, a couple of hints and tips on making your estate and letting agency work harder by working smarter, and hopefully get you a bit of growth in there. And of course, if you want to talk to myself, Andrew, or indeed Connor about any of the things that was spoke about in today's webinar, feel free to get in touch. Connor, have you got our email addresses there, or even just put in the chat box? I'd be interested in hearing more about whether VaVaVoom and virtual assistants, inspect real estate, and automating your used property and letting management software. Please do get in touch.
Definitely. We've got Louise saying thanks. No questions, but thanks, guys, and have a nice day. So.